Insurance is, as a job, is miserable. You're not going to like
That is good.
answering the phone and listening to someone complain about $1.25 a rate increase on a month. Oh my goodness, right? Like you're going to hate yourself. You're going to go home. It's just going to be miserable.
In today's episode, we're going to be sitting down with Vic Magnus, current agency owner, retired military veteran, and he's going to walk through what he learned in his military career that has helped him with having a thriving, very successful agency, from recruiting processes and systems, establishing a winning culture, giving back to the community, and doing events that are creative and are driving real results. With that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and today we have a very special guest with us today, Vic Magnus. Vic, how are you doing, my man?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys?
We are pumped. I'm excited because you are an agent in a smaller market. So just to give a reference on smaller market, population of around 2,000 people, county size of around 25,000. You've been doing this for 13 years. You're having one of the best years that you've ever had. You have the typical team size of around 3 to 4 people, including yourself. So I'm super pumped to dive into today and talk a little bit about how you're seeing success, because you made some pivots going into this year that have really paid off for you. You recently took advantage of our 30 Life in 5 Days challenge, and you crushed that one with 10 policies and 18,000 in premium submitted, which is incredible in 5 days. So, Courtney, where you want to lead off?
Let's start with your team size. And then the pivot that you made last November. Let's start with that.
Yeah. So again, I got myself as the agent, 13 years in the industry, started out 5 years familiar carrier where you guys had started back in 2012. So that's where I got my starts, which I think really drove home the idea of needs-based selling, right? There's a needs-based approach. You guys preach it. I'm 100% on board with everything that you guys teach through the Weaver Sales Academy. And it's what I've always known. So I've always kept it because it's successful. And it's the right thing to do at the end of the day. Back in 21, I just returned. I was home about 5 months from deployment to Ukraine. Knew that I was getting ready to transition from a financed agent to a career agent. So I knew I needed to start grabbing and getting a team member. Having my experience at the prior carrier, understanding what success looks like and failure looks like, I knew, hey, I need to have someone on board ASAP. I need to get them trained in service, because when I started in 12, that first year, it was, my agent Josh, myself, and he kept the one service producer on board. So she was the lifeline of keeping that agency going. So when you start, there's a lot of things going. So I hired Sharon. Sharon was a find where I reached out to spheres of influences, right? So I went and I said, hey, I got an Edwards Jones office 2 doors down. He meets with people who are retired. He meets people who are transitioning, right? So those rollovers, all that kind of stuff, he's going to identify maybe somebody who's looking for a change. So had a conversation with Steve, and literally the next day he walked Sharon in the office. I was like, I don't even have a job description yet for this lady. It's like, holy buckets. So we chit-chatted, because I always believe in that approach. I think on your most recent podcast, you guys talked about the phone conversation. To me, is having that first interview by phone is critical. So it was flip-flop from what I wanted to do, but she was just a fantastic individual to chit-chat with here in the office. So she came on, we got her trained, unlicensed. She's an agent assistant, so she does a lot of policy changes, calling on billings, late pays, your normal service work. She handles a lot of the back end stuff. So when customers have things that need to happen, she follows it from start to finish. She sees it's printed. She sees if there's any issues or errors, and make sure that it goes out in the mail correctly.
So Vic, your first hire was the agent assistant.
Correct. Yep.
Was that your intention?
Yes.
That was going to be your first hire? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to bring someone in because knowing that when you get that book of business, people are calling. Who are you? Why are you my agent? I don't want you, blah, blah, right? So having had that experience at State Farm really prepared me for what it looked like to transition in. I mean, I was set up, had gone through, I was, what do you want, what the heck was that called? Agent candidate or something like that with State Farm. I had gone through that whole process. I was approved for agency, had interviewed on a few of those, but everything they wanted me out of my community that in the area I wanted to be in. So that's how I happened to be here. Just I wanted to be in a small town and not in a big area. But so I knew that transition, which was big. So I needed someone who could handle service calls and then not be like, oh, I need to be selling, because that's my job. Plus, I needed to figure out that dynamic so that when I would bring in a salesperson, which was the next hire, I brought Molly in on 2023. I want to say January of 23. Heavily involved with the Washara Area Chamber of Commerce, and I was on the board for a couple of years with that. And then I just had talked to the director at the time and said, if you know anybody, I'm contemplating hiring. About 2 weeks later, Molly gave me a call. We chatted on the phone. I knew her. I knew her husband. I knew her husband's family. And I was like, yeah, this is an easy thing. I knew her background. She was in the financial sector, working for a couple banks and lending. So she understands pivoting and making cold calls, et cetera, et cetera. She did sales with one of the cell providers in town. And then she was banquet catering manager for the big supper club in the area for like 4 years, I think. So talk about somebody who knows everybody from weddings to funerals, you name it, right? So let alone that, they've got a fledgling business between her and her husband as well. So so that was a no-brainer. She came in and things were really rocking and rolling. The phone was ringing. That was a year where a lot of carriers were taking major rate. That was a year where the reinsurance market, the capacity had shrank quite a bit. A lot of carriers saw, a 60% increase. Somehow ours was like around like 4% as a company based on the company's performance. So that kept our rates kind of locked in, which was great. So she came in, and at that time it was like, sit down and listen. I didn't really have the greatest idea for an onboarding or training, seat in my pants. And
You didn't have that 10-day new hire training.
I did not. I'm telling you, that would have been fantastic to have it, because when she started, she goes, have you ever heard of the Insurance Buzz podcast? And I was like, no. She's like,
wait, hold on.
Yes,
She is how you are here.
Okay.
Correct.
All
Yep.
right.
So she,
what's her name again?
Molly. So
Molly.
Shout
out to Molly.
So she had found it, obviously, like trying to learn a little bit more about insurance, found the podcast. And then I listened to a couple episodes. I'm like, all right, I'm on board with this energy. So I've been, listening every week. So I know, Michael's got his routine he likes to do in the morning. You talk about how do you prep your day? Well, usually 1 or 2 days a week, it's listening to you guys yip yap while I'm lifting weights in the morning at 5. So
Thank you.
Oh my God, this is awesome. So we just went into peak state.
Yep.
Shout out Molly. I love this. Okay, this completely changed the vibe of the whole podcast. Now, because these sound like wonderful human beings who come in.
Oh, they're fantastic.
But there's something that you have to either say or a vision that you have to paint. There's something that you're doing that makes them want to work alongside you. So that's really where I want to kind of drill down is it's one thing to attract top talent, but it's another thing to have an opportunity or have an environment that somebody wants to be plugged into. What do you think that you have that you were like, ooh, this is a place where they can thrive?
So workplace culture to me is obviously everything. And it's that way in any industry, any job that you're in. And having served at high levels in the military where, I think 110, 115 people that, worked for me, you have to treat people as family, right? And you want them in an environment where, A, they're safe, they're heard, there's trust, right? There's development and mentorship and coaching. And I took that experience from the military here, and And it's like, I want them to understand that, hey, your child or your grandchild has something going on this afternoon with a recital or sports. Just let me know. When we have a team meeting, let's just look it on the calendar and tell me you're out, and then pick up your hours, come in early, whatever it is, just flex, and I'm not like on them like, oh, here's your time card. No, because they're putting in quality work, they're meeting their goals, they're doing what they need to do. So, hey, you want off on a Friday, flex on a Friday, whatever it might be. Absolutely. Like, your job isn't your life. This is to help you sustain life, pay your bills, allow you to enjoy yourself. And, for Molly leaving the restaurant industry, that was a big deal because those are long hours, late nights, weekends. And she took a pay cut and she came in, and it was a quality of life. Like, hey, I get time with my kids. I was missing that. I get time on the weekends. Right. So, really promote that. I learned that from my prior boss. Josh was fantastic on, hey, it's your birthday, we're having a meal together. Hey, it's your work anniversary, we're having a meal together. Right. Like, so, I think last week was Sharon's birthday. She didn't want to have a lunch. We told her too bad. We always have lunches on everyone's birthday. So we scheduled it for this Wednesday. Same thing with Deanna, who's our remote assistant. She handles service and retention. So knowing that retention with our rate adjustments coming is going to be the next focus, got real heavy into developing like a client touch matrix. How do I engage my tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 customers multiple times throughout the year, right? Because as we know, it's less expensive to retain than it is to acquire. So,
amen, baby. Amen.
So
All right,
before
we move on though, I would love, you don't have to go through like all the tiers, but like what would be an example of like a tier 1 customer, and how often are they getting touched?
So tier 1, we're going to start out this first full year as we're getting ready to implement everything is going to be 5. We're going to have 5 touches. So it'll be, they're kind of these are people who are promoters, right? These are people who have sent us business, and they've just sent over somebody that they knew, and we had an opportunity to earn somebody's business from there, right? So someone who's a promoter is a big deal. Premium, obviously. Not that auto and renters isn't important, but somebody that's paying me $190,000 a year on these ginormous farms, what's the hourly rate based on, the renewal commission. So they receive a little bit more of attention and those sort of things like that. But they also have employees and staff. So you have the capability when you bring by lunch or by donuts or whatever it is to, hey, by the way, this is our insurance guy, workers' comp. This is how it works, bring in my wealth management advisor from Farm Bureau Financial for those sort of things. So we just kind of broke them down. We started at a threshold premium. I think it was about $5,000 when we started the book last year. And then it was, okay, what's my relationship status with them? How many lines of business do they have? Are they promoters? And that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how we broke that down. So it's the idea of, Deanna, what we're going to end up doing is you renew, let's say November 1st, within 30 days, you're going to get a phone call. Hey, just want to say thank you. We want to make sure you got all your renewal documents. Is there anything that's incorrect? Is there lien holders we should change or adjust, right? Something simple. And then from there we have, if it's a farm or commercial, some social media cross promotion for them. Personal lines, it's, hey, we're sponsoring this in our community, or hey, this community event's coming up. Love to see you at it. Or hey, last month we just did you see us in the news, right? Those sort of things. And then it'll be again a holiday card based on whatever the closest holiday is. Obviously, State Farm really pushed the Thanksgiving cards, and it was so well received all those years ago. So I kind of took that knowledge and said, all right, let's utilize something like that on those off holidays that people don't expect that kind of touch. And then a few other things throughout the year. And then obviously 75 days out, we'll start our process for connecting with doing an IFR and reaching out to them for reviews. And that was a big thing that we implemented January 1. It's like, hey, we have this customer service promise. We need to be living up to it. I sold on, every minimum 3 years we're doing a review. We're going to offer it every year. So now we're at the capability of this year. I think September when we audited our notes, we had 120 plus reviews. So I was doing on average about 6 a week. on top of new business, on top of, meeting with the team and all those sort of things. So, and then all the other things I do. And so I was very happy with that 6 a week, because it's, again, that retention strategy, getting in front of your customer, planting the seeds, letting them know that, hey, we do more than just X, Y, and Z. We also offer the following services. So knowing, again, that our rates are going to adjust, trying to get ahead of in that retention strategy so that once we start doing those touches coming up, we're right in front of them.
I can't give you enough kudos or agree with you more to double down on your retention that you're doing. I love this tiered concept that you have, touches that you're doing. For anyone that doesn't know what IFR stands for, it's an insurance and financial review. So it's you're actually scheduling appointments with customers, is what Vic is talking about. Vic, I think this is wildly important for every insurance agent in the country to be doing right now, because here's my opinion: is servicing commissions are going to eventually get cut over the next 3 to 5 years with most carriers.
Absolutely.
So that means you're going to have to write more new business. But even if servicing commissions get cut, it's still that residual income that every insurance agency wants. And so how can you lower retention rates while still being focused on new business? I believe that one way to do that is be meeting with your customers, no phone appointments. You're either in person or virtual, face to a name, butts to chairs, cheeks to seats. Let's get them in there. Let's build a relationship, shake some hands, kiss some babies, and also allows you to further cross-sell into the household. So I absolutely love what you're doing, and I'd love to give you a lot of kudos to that, because I feel like that is the one thing that consistently gets missed right now in the insurance industry, because so much transactional business is going on that we treat people like transactions, and you get mad when they leave you like a transaction. And it's like you can't have the best of both worlds.
Correct. And, kudos to the Weaver Sales Academy and the Financial Foundation. That is top notch stuff. So I've been really pushing Deanna really hard to review this over and over. Hey, this is why we're doing the retention strategy. I want you to understand your spot in the business of what it is. Once they get butts and seats, this is where I'm going forward. So I've been having to work on it over and over and try to come up with, my process on that review. I have a process, but I want to, the Your World was a big one when I was kind of back in the day. So I kind of utilize a little bit of that. And then, your liability exposure worksheet. I mean, those are no brainers, right? Because again, every household gets an umbrella quote. And if you don't want it, then we just price ourselves out in another way so that I don't take that business, because you need it.
Yep. That financial foundation, it's funny you bring that up, because so I created it. So I never could get on board with the world one. I'm just like, this is a little too cheesy for me. But then there was another one that I forget what they called, but it was a little pyramid where you'd bring up liability, disability, and life all in one thing. And I'm like,
I will never forget when you did this. I will never forget. I was 27 years old. We were engaged. We had just bought our first home, and you had come back.
I had just got back from Austin, I think, from internship.
Yeah. And you're like, hey, I want to try this thing on you. And you start going through it, and halfway through I start bawling. I'm hysterically crying, because you were asking questions that I had never been asked, but were things that were very important to me that I didn't even know were important at 27 years old. But it was when you lay it all out there and you made it like a foundation of a house, it made so much sense to me, because I was getting ready to okay, we're starting our life. We're building our life together. This is what it's going to look like. This is adulting. And I just think that it's that conversation. It even gives me chills to think about this, that nobody ever gets asked those questions. They can get to 75 and nobody's ever sat down and said, have you thought about this? And these are dark clouds that hang over our head of what if somebody sues me? What if I get sick? What if I don't have enough money to retire? It's and
it's amazing. It's amazing. It just, the number, what's an umbrella? What do you mean? No one's ever had this conversation with you? And I mean, I give the prior agent that had retired in 12, he had done a fantastic job on him, right? And we pushed it real hard there when I started in the industry. Again, same thing. Everyone got a quote on it. Internet leads, obviously, it's a whole nother beast. You come back 6 months later and all that kind of stuff. I don't use them out here. It's just the market's not right for it. But you sit and you go, what do you mean you've never had this question? Excuse me. And I believe we had like 92% of our book had an umbrella when I left that office. And it's a number that I want to get here because of how much we push it. Renters doesn't matter. Oh, you're 23, you're getting one. Here's why, right? Like, and then you ask those questions, what happens, and you kind of go through it. So I've always kind of done those questions, but to have something, the piece that I got to work through is how do I do it virtually? Because of where my office is, I mean, I service an hour to hour and a half radius from the office, right? And I firmly believe that it is face-to-face is best way to do it. So driving, 45 minutes to an hour to get to, Oshkosh, and I gotta line them up that day when I go and make my travel worth it when I get on the road like that. So getting something for a virtual type meeting is kind of where I'm at right now, and to come up with.
So just use, and I can help. Obviously, I can help you create this, but right now you could even use, so in the Financial Foundation playbook, there's that foundation in there that you can just download that playbook, do a share screen with it, and it should say liability, health. That's what I would do. That's what I've done on virtual appointments back when I was doing it, is I would just share that so they would at least understand the kind of the concept of what we were talking about. Yep, it's a visual. And then still have them as like part of the screen to where you can see their face. Because it's more of a, as you know, like fact-finding education, but it leads into that bigger life insurance conversation, annuities, and then overall into the investments to drive that. And so it positions you as you know, as an advisor, regardless if you can sell, if you offer that or not. You're having a complete, what I call holistic conversation with them around things that you can benefit them with, and even things that you can't, but you have referral partners you can send them to if you find a gap in their plan, which builds instant credibility. So that take that advice if you want, but that's what I used to do. Is I used to just do a share screen with that.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's been good stuff. Like, it's Weaver's really augmented, what our process has been in the office. So, and it's been fantastic on that regard.
Agency owners, imagine a world where you had a coach or trainer in your office that reported to you every single day, that your team had access to every single day. And the reason why most of you don't have that already is because they're extremely expensive. Usually most sales trainers and coaches are going to cost 6 figures a year. I'm so excited to announce the launch of our new business, Agency Coach AI. This is going to provide an AI coach and trainer at you and your team's fingertips 24/7. It's a coach that never takes the day off. It is a coach that reports directly to you. It is a coach that coaches your team the way that you want them to be coached. It practices and role plays with your team every single day, and then is going to coach them on what they did well, what they could have improved on, recommended trainings that they can watch. Then it's going to report to you or the sales manager in the office exactly what was done in that practice session, exactly what was said, and exactly what they coached the team member on. Then we're going to listen to every single live sales call. Think about this, a coach or trainer that sits with your team every single day, listening to every single live conversation, going in and or coming in and going out. No more wondering, hey, is my team actually having the conversations that they've been taught? Hey, is my team actually asking for the sell? Hey, is my team actually making pivots? Hey, is my team actually doing the things that they're supposed to do compliantly? No more guessing. It is all going to be documented and given to you word for word. And the best part about this is after the live calls, the coach coaches them on what they did well, what they could have improved on, and any recommended trainings that they would recommend them take and watch. No more wondering what's going on in your office, regardless if you're there or not. This is going to give you the most transparency and accountability that you've ever had before in your agency career. And the best part about it is, with your team having a coach and trainer that they can lean on 24/7, their confidence is going to grow and they're going to become the best sales professional that they can become, because they have access to have coaching and training 24/7. If you are ready to take advantage of AI, if you're ready to have more time back in your business, if you are ready to quit having to choose between training your team and growing your business, go to agencycoachai.com and check out the demo, or shoot me a text 816-727-7610 and I'll be in touch and we can get a call scheduled. Other than that, let's get back to the show.
So I want to touch on your military experience because thank you so much for your service.
Yes,
we
thank you.
appreciate you so much. I would like to know, you briefly touched on it when it comes to like processes and what you've implemented and things that you've learned from the military. Is there anything that really stands out to you from a recruiting standpoint, from a training and development, or from a processes standpoint? Because I feel like that's what the military really does well, is recruiting, training, and processes. Is there anything that you're like, this is locked in, or I've adapted a process from the military and I use it in the day-to-day in my business?
Yeah. So, I spent a number of years as a military instructor. So watching students have that aha moment, right? It's the same thing. And I apply lifelong learning. I'm a firm believer in lifelong learning. Like, I go on and on and on and on about it. So using that, this is an educational process during needs-based selling is a big thing, because and we tell people right up front, hey, we're just going to educate you on what you have and you don't have. We want you to make an informed decision, because we don't want you to experience buyer's remorse. We don't want you to feel like you were pressured into anything. At the end of the day, your decision is your decision. If you choose to go with us, and if we've saved you money, fantastic. If we happen to you happen to pay us more because of the value that you find, even better. But it comes down to you making that decision, because again, they need to be educated. So taking that educational approach is the first thing that I've applied to insurance, because when I started in the industry, I was coming off of active duty as an instructor. So we did training development. I helped rewrite courseware and content that was approved all the way through the system. Taught advanced level training. I taught operations. So coming back to that operational mindset, big picture, right? And my manager and I have this conversation all the time that he's like, you're so big picture. And it's like, I need to understand what's happening above me to be able to apply it below me. And that's kind of like you had asked earlier, Courtney, like, how did you pivot in November, right? Knowing where the market was trending by reading. I mean, articles and articles and articles every day on LinkedIn, on the insurance, this, that, the other, doesn't matter. But even though I'm represent a single state insurance carrier, all of that still impacts reinsurance. It still impacts what our company eventually is going to position, right? So having seen the writing on the wall, having looked at the year, the rate adjustments that were approved at the, Office of the Insurance Commissioner, going, oh, this carrier's approved for this. Okay, we're not far behind, right? So that big picture approach, understanding, I taught operational fire support planning and strategic level stuff that could impact, on the national level, right? So again, very big picture, very high level, lets me come out of my little foxhole, my little office space right here, right? Because a lot of agents get just dug in and they want to complain about everything. Why this? Woe is me. And it's like, stop. If you don't understand what the big picture is and where you fit into it, and you're not willing to use your ears, God gave you two of them for a reason, you're going to be unhappy. And when you're unhappy, that performance is going to impact your team. So as I learn, I inform my team on it. So that's that operational mindset because of where, my last deployment was in Ukraine and working with the defense attaché in Kyiv, right? Like writing reports that went to U.S. Army Command in Europe. So again, very high level to come back and go, how do I apply this to my everyday life? So it's a strategic and operational level thinking. And then processes. Now, my particular specialty is a fire support specialist. It was a lot of artwork. That's how a lot of people said it, because it was sales all day, because you're trying to sell a commander on the assets that you have, the capabilities. How do I eliminate a threat? How do I get more of this or more of that? And you're doing briefings. So you're doing military briefings. So very salesy on that regard, but very artsy, because you had to orchestrate based on time and environment. And it's like, there's no blueprint for it. And then when I had the amazing opportunity to be promoted to first sergeant and take a field artillery battery, which is about 110, 115 service soldiers, those guys on the cannons are very step action orientated. A to B to C to D. What's going on at C? Go back to B, right? Drove me nuts being such a creative and free thinker, because they would sometimes get bogged down. It's like, stop. You are a leader of 10 to 12 soldiers. Get creative on how to solve the problem and see if it's anything other than hitting it with a hammer, because they love to hit things with hammers, those guys. So, blunt force trauma to make it work, and it did work. But so that step action orientated, what's the process? And it was that way as an instructor, and taking that and saying, hey, we need to document it. We need to have it on paper. It's got to be easy enough to follow, and also leave some room for interpretation, because you can't just box people's brains. They got to be able to go, I like the word track. I just wouldn't say it this way, right? I'm more comfortable with this word. It's still the same result. So that's how I took those lessons of, 21 years of sheer stupidity and fun and apply it to this, and I tell people this is something that I think surprises a lot of people. I served my country. I did it for all the right reasons. I was in before 9/11. 9/11 only obviously changed the trajectory of my life, and having, 13 years of it being full-time. And to come back and now be retired and be in a community, I utilize my experience as a veteran to serve my community through insurance, right? Like, it sounds cheesy or corny or whatever you might want to say, but like, I have an opportunity to position people to recover from the worst day of their lives, right? I want to do everything I can to make sure that they have that opportunity to recover. They have that fire, God forbid they have a death, they get injured, whatever it might be. That's coming back and educating them and being to protect my community going forward. And that's just how I feel that I have an ability to continue to serve those that, choose me, or to serve people in our community in the area.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So good. It's conviction. Like, you have conviction, you believe in what you're doing, and your business, I can tell, has soul. And I think as we continue to evolve and change and improve as human beings, and we automate and technology comes in, that is like, I can feel it when you say that. And I think the more, I have no doubt that you're successful, and I have no doubt that the people that are in your community, that are in your book of business, love working with you, because you can feel it. Like, you're not just saying those words, you can feel that this is something that you're passionate about. Like, you truly want to serve and help people.
Yeah, I actually have this wild suspicion, and I can say this because data is starting to back this up, that humans are craving humans even more as AI starts to roll out. And so I actually have this wild suspicion, and time will tell, but the business model that you're taking with getting to know your customers, getting involved in the community, pouring back, kind of reverting back to why agents were agents in the first place in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, before this transactional selling really came into our business model in the internet lead day of age in the mid to late 2000s. I have a wild suspicion that you and the business that you are positioning yourself as, of doing things for the right reasons, getting to know your customers, building relationships, having value-based sales conversations, creating plans for customers' worst days, being heavily involved in the community, that you will thrive, and humans and the customers are actually going to want you to be that agent. It's the agents that are transactional selling, are not educating, that AI will more than likely have a bigger impact on, in both positive and negative ways, just in my opinion.
Well, it's the customer segmentation, though.
That's right.
And it's like, are these relationship seekers? Are they passive? Are they frequent shoppers, right? You're familiar with those, as I am, from our time. And I want those relationship seekers, because they become more loyal. Yep. They're going to be here, and they're going to, the stuff that you teach in Weaver about pain points. you want to dial a 1-800 number, or do you want to dial the local phone number and you're going to get one of our beautiful faces here in the office?
That's exactly right.
Like,
I'm
where,
just still,
where do you
still
want to
trying
be?
to figure out why agents think that we can sell based off of price and do everything transactionally. Why? And this is not going to go down a rabbit hole, and we don't have to go here. But why?
Let's go. We're here.
Why would a carrier not just develop an AI sales agent that can do that for them? That they don't.
Oh,
have
it's
to pay
probably coming
commission
on some of them.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like now what you're saying you do your business model. AI can't do that.
No.
AI cannot be there in the community. AI cannot establish relationships with customers. AI cannot be there for people on their worst day. AI is going to have a hard time getting to know those pain points, getting to know customers. Selling off price, that's pretty easy to do. Just emailing out quotes, that's pretty easy to do. Just texting out rates, that's pretty easy to do.
I think there's also, we're talking about the customer experience, but let's talk about from our own experience as the sales professional, the service professional, the agent, the sales manager, the service, whatever your role is. Isn't it more fulfilling if you're doing something from that place? If you're doing something from the place of the heart space or the soul space, or like, I'm making a difference, I'm doing this out of service. I just think that you show up and you're a different human being. And I think if we're going to spend 30 or 40 years in this career, we better enjoy it. We're giving our best years.
It's a career. That's the thing. And you know, that was the one thing that I was, you know, when I started, it was, if this is a job for you, you're not going to enjoy it. Insurance as a job is miserable. You're not going to like
That is
it.
good.
Like, answering
my
the
gosh,
phone
that's good.
and listening to someone complain about $1.25 a rate increase on a month. Oh my goodness, right? Like, you're going to hate yourself. You're going to go home. It's just going to be miserable because, unfortunately, as we know, customers call and they end up unloading their trash on us because we happen to answer the phone, right? And it's no fault of their own, but then we got to put on our customer service face. And I'm really poor with those phone calls, let me tell you. I don't do a lot of BS. So thank God for Molly and Sharon. So it's just, this becomes a career when you, like you said, you put your soul and your heart into it, and you feel like you're doing something for them, to prepare them. And we hope they never have to use it. You don't. But you damn well know that you did your job and you did it correctly, that they're going to be in a position. And that's, you know, to deliver. I mean, I can remember when working at State Farm, and we had that ability. Someone had a major loss, sump pump failure. I could write the check out for whatever, $5,000 out of the office, even as a sub producer. And I went out, brought that check, and I stopped and I picked up a bunch of pizza and wings just for these people out of my own pocket and said, hey, you guys had a rough day. Here's from your company, and here's some pizza from our office. Don't worry about dinner tonight. It's on us, right? Like, the sheer happiness that they showed, that someone was there for them, because it's water losses are no fun. You know, no type of loss is fun, but to be able to provide that, like, hey, you showed up. I mean, I can tell you, like, my concerns coming to a single state insurance carrier being that, hey, we only do business here in Wisconsin. Fantastic financial record. So I'm like, well, that's good. So that first year of being a career agent with Sharon, I'm going, all right, what's going to happen? Because something's going to happen, right? So July 29th, 2021, ended up having, by the end of that day, I had 56% of the company's claims from a major wind hail event that had gone through. One community I couldn't even get into. They basically had shut Ripon, Wisconsin off. You know, that's 7,500, 8,000, maybe, give or take. Couldn't get into the community. So I was out in another town that was hit, already prepped to do farm reviews. So I was just literally phone ring, house to house, checking in on people, taking pictures, filing the claims. I mean, I can remember getting to bed and it was, you know, I was sitting in the office, it was almost midnight. And it is what it is, because that's what we're here for. And to see the way that my carrier handled claims, how they processed claims, how they treated the customer, how they dug to find a way to make a payment. And sometimes where I was like, I went to wrote a check for it, but I don't make that decision, you know. And it was, a number of people who I had offered reviews for, documentation, right? Back to reviews and document, right? So we had documented our attempts and their denials, and guess who had a bunch of those claims? A bunch of them who were underinsured, but the carrier still took care of them. And that was rewarding in that first year, that I was like, hey, I'm in a good place. This is a company that has the same values as I do to go and take care of somebody. And that's a warm feeling, and I've had a couple injury attorneys who were referred to my office from our primary litigator at the company, at the corporate level, because they had seen how our carrier handles and treats people in the court system when things are happening. And they said, this is what we want. We want a company that represents and that's willing to pay and take care of their customers. And these attorneys have transitioned over to my office and stuff like that. That is really rewarding to see that, because I know that we sell a promise, right? That's what we do. We sell a promise at the end of the day. There's nothing tangible about it. And, it's that being connected to your community, being a face in the community, shaking hands and kissing babies, like you said, Michael, like you have to, it's like, hey, here's hot cocoa. We're giving out hot cocoa for free at the football game for homecoming.
Just don't get it wrong and shake babies and kiss hands. All right.
That's what I always say. I always tell people, I'm like, shake babies and kiss hands. I tell
know,
people
so do
that.
we. We're like, we're gonna be shaking the babies.
It's finding that way, to give back. Maybe it's we've done things as sponsored music in the park. We've had the Dairy Promoters of Wisconsin and worked with a local company, a business I insure, to get free ice cream. And we handed out free ice cream, free will offering during music in the park for the Waushara County Farm Bureau. They're building a new food stand at the fairground. And that monies we were able to donate to that cause, sponsoring dueling pianos. I mean, there's a whole host of things that you can do within your community. I do a fun event that was, I don't even remember, I think it was my wife's idea. My very first year, Pi Day, so March 14th, it just happened to be like, hey, promote, right? Get promotion on social media. If I get X number of views or shares, whatever, my kids will pie me on Facebook Live, right? And it turned in now the last couple of years that, hey, who's an organization in town that we can donate money to, right? So be it the Benevolence Association for the police department, be it for the Treehouse Central that works with at-risk teens, XYZ, right? So to get then say, hey, I challenge you, Courtney, and your organization that to help me promote this, I'll then increase my donation, but you get pied also on Facebook Live by somebody, right? So now, and my kids, my son Uriah, he's 17. He's like, when are we doing this? Like, my daughter who's 12, so
Teenage angst is coming through.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a goofy thing to do on social media, but I'm able to get it into the paper, our local paper. That's once a week. Promotion on social media. The Chamber of Commerce helps self-promote. So it's like, hey, these are the things that we're doing in the community and how we're giving back our money, because our carrier says premiums paid here stay here. Like,
yep.
They stay here in Wisconsin. Well, I'd like them to stay here in my local community. Those who are supporting me, I support them because they're helping pay my mortgage, my employees' mortgage. They're helping put food on my table. I need to give back in some manner to them. So.
Oh my gosh, Vic, this has
so
been
good.
an incredible podcast.
This is a great one, man.
If somebody wanted to follow you because you have all of these great ideas, what is the best way that they can follow you or connect with you?
So I am on LinkedIn. If you just search, I think, Victor Magnus, you should be able to find it that way. And then on Facebook, Rural Mutual Insurance, Victor Magnus Agency. So we go on ebbs and flows sometimes. We haven't been posting the most recent, but try to keep pretty active on there as well, so people can see what we're doing in the community.
Vic, this has been great, brother. We appreciate you.
Good.
This is you're talking about the life of an agency owner and the importance of giving back and pouring into your community and being there for when people need you the most. So thank you for everything you do. Obviously, we appreciate you at Weaver Sales Academy as well, my man. Your support of us. Other
absolutely.
than that, Thank you for all of you who tuned in today. We appreciate you. As always, time and attention are by far our most important assets. So thank you for dedicating the last 45, 50 minutes to us on The Buzz. I hope that you got as much out of this as we did. Other than that, go out and make it great today, my friends. Vic, thanks again, brother.
Thank you, guys.